everyone, my name's Yvonne Villarreal and I cover TV here at the LA Times. And we're doing another installment in our Emmy Contender Chats, and joining me today is a woman you don't want to mess with, Miss Miranda Otto, who we saw in this season's Homeland, who played Allison. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure. Good morning.
Tell me how this was sort of pitched to you coming into this season, and who made the pitch, and talk to me about how it all went down.
Well, I actually was, I've been a fan of the show, and I was asked by Alex Ganza to come into a casting, and I had a couple of scenes, and I sort of started to gather from the scenes a couple of plot lines, and when I went into the test with him, I said, is there something going on between me and Saul? And he was like, yes, you're having an affair with Saul and you're a double agent. So I found those things out kind of in the audition. He let me know. And yeah, I just auditioned that day, and then it all happened really super fast, this job. I just went in, and then a day or two later they said they wanted to make a deal, and then a week later I was flying to Berlin. It was incredibly fast, but it sounded from the beginning to be a really juicy part.
Did you audition? Did you do the scene with Mandy, or?
No, I just read with the casting director.
And how was it sort of just being thrust into this, flying to Berlin? Like, how did you sort of get acquainted with everyone and get into the mix?
I just had to do everything on the fly, really. And actually, my husband said to me, I mean, those guys are so great. You are really going to have to like step up and step in really fast. You're going to have to be right on the money when you go in, because I mean they're well established in the season. They know their characters really well, and they're magnificent actors. So a lot of it was just I had a week when I was there kind of to get everything together, and so much research to do as well.
Yeah, talk about what went into all that research.
Well, I particularly I really enjoy the research side of things, and because these guys have been playing these parts and understood this world so well, I felt like I needed to get on board as quickly as I could. So they sent me a lot of research, and they actually sent me a book about Kim Philby, Burgess, Philby, and McLean, but particularly about Philby. And that was an inspiration for part of the story. And then they put me in touch with a guy who was an advisor on their show, a guy called John McGaffin, who used to be in the CIA. So he was fantastic. So he was my touchstone, really, during a lot of it. I would ring him and ask him about what would happen in certain situations and what he would do, and he was incredibly helpful.
Did you like knowing that you were playing someone that was going to be a double agent? Did it?
I did. I think it's always great to have a secret, something that other people don't know. And I like parts that have restrictions, so that I really enjoy playing against the restriction of not being able to reveal my full self. Was actually really fun, knowing that I guess, Allison is a person who likes to think that she's smarter than everybody else in the room. I mean, a person who takes on the role of being a double agent is definitely somebody who, enjoys being one up on everyone else. You have to kind of enjoy putting yourself in that position. And I think I kind of enjoyed being that as well.
But we were so sad for Saul. We were like,
I know,
Saul's
I was so
being
mean.
duped. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
It seemed mean, didn't it? I know. I got so many emails from my friends along the way going, my God, you're sleeping with Saul.
I know. He's like a Beatle for us.
I know.
We really cherish Saul. I don't want to see him hurt.
I know.
What was it like working with Mandy so closely?
Oh, he's brilliant. He's brilliant. The script in itself is so fantastic when it comes in, and it's so layered, and you can never tell where it's going next. And then when you have actors, like Mandy and Claire, he just brings such a depth to everything that he does. He brings such, it's nothing in the show is black or white. He brings such a wisdom and gravitas to everything that he does.
We're going to take a question from Twitter. A fan asked, what was your favorite scene of your character in Homeland?
Oh, by far and away, shooting Conrad in the head.
That sounds lovely. Yes.
I've never gotten to really do kind of actiony things, and when that scene came up, it's sort of typical kind of male kind of thing.
Exactly.
And to actually play, I mean, that was a part of this part that was so interesting. That she didn't have children. She was a career woman, and it was almost, there were definitely female parts of the character, but a lot of it could have been a man.
Yeah.
So to get to play something that it was so fun doing all the kind of action and shooting.
Did that require a lot of practice?
I did go in and practice.
Yeah.
I got in touch with the stunt guys and, take me through the gun stuff because I haven't done a lot of shooting of guns. And so take me through that and what would happen. And I was interested in all the ballistics of the scene and how we could most make it realistic that I could get away with it, because I thought it was such a great kind of sting that she put together. Like every time it seemed like she was completely in a corner, Alex would come up with these amazing solutions. He made her so bright.
How about working with Leslie as the director? What was she's awesome. So talk a little bit about working with her.
Well, she actually directed 4 of the episodes. She's magnificent. She's a wonderful person, and she really. What's so nice on that show is they are so involved in the characters and the acting, and she really takes time to read everything through, and she doesn't let anything go until she's found every level that she needs in the performance. She's so close with the show, and she knows so much about it, and it's just wonderful to have her there all the time. She was with us pretty much the whole time in Berlin, so she kind of really and she's got this brilliant energy. She was a dancer, and she just has this life force about her that is so encouraging and
Well, and I like that I think the last time I spoke with her, because she was trying to get me to go to Berlin, LA Times, please pay for that. But she was saying how she was, she had this sort of, I don't know if it's like underground or whatever, but this program where she has female directors shadow her because she thinks, we need to be bringing more of females into the ranks, and I just thought that was awesome. I don't know if you saw much of that there.
There were a number of women who actually shadowed her, and she does that. And I think it is important. I'm from Australia, and when I first started in the film business, at a point when I'd done, I think, about 20 films, half of them had been directed by women. There's a very strong female directors and producers and everything in Australia. And then when I first came to America, it was very rare to meet a female director. So hats off to her. I think we have to be supportive of each other.
And how was it shooting in Berlin? What was that experience like?
It was great.
Yeah.
I'd been to Berlin many years ago, and I loved it then. It was like 92 or something I was there. And I'd always wanted to go back. So I was super excited to see that we were going to be in Berlin for 6 months. But it just adds so much to the story. It's such a character in itself. In terms of espionage, it really is the heartland of that in terms of literature. That's what we always think of, Berlin, the divided city, and it's still, very much at the heart of Europe in terms of that.
Was there much time to have downtime with the cast or hang out, or is it like the days are so long shooting?
The funny thing is in this that we all had, except for perhaps Mandy and myself, but a lot of us were involved in really quite separate stories at times. Like Claire's story intersected with mine a couple of times in the past. I worked with Mandy quite a lot. I didn't work with Rupert at all. And with
Rupert.
I know, poor Rupert.
They
Rupert.
put him
through hell.
Yes, they did.
Oh.
Yeah.
But no, I got lots of time to hang out.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, and what was it like? Because I don't think people sort of see you as a villain from the characters you've played in the past. Like, what was that sort of like to play that up?
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed it. It's fun to be the bad guy. But the challenging part for me was that these characters are so well established, and we know how incredibly bright they are, like eerily bright. The idea that I was actually fooling them was the hardest thing for me to pull off, in terms of also letting the audience see that there was tension, so that I didn't make everything look completely easy, but enough that you wouldn't think that they would cotton on. So
right.
I kind of call it colon twisting acting. There was a lot of colon twisting acting where I'm trying to be really cool, but I had to maintain this kind of tension underneath of you know, trying to work on my feet and work out how to get out of situations.
Was it hard for you to get a grasp on Allison, like because you didn't have as much time to spend with her, or did you feel like you knew her? Did Alex give you enough backstory of like who she really is? I know we see some of that, but how did you feel about?
He gave me some of the backstory, but things were developing along the way. So there were times, I mean, there was a time really early on, I think it was around episode 4 or 5, where I thought, well, that's it. My number's up. Like they're about to find out that it was me. The audience now knows what I'm up to. I'm going to be in a jail cell or sent back to Langley really soon, and that'll be the end of my arc. And then they just kept finding different ways to kind of keep it going. But it is a really interesting process for an actor because, you know, I've mainly worked in film and theater. And you really know where you're going. You know your beginning and your end. And it's so different when you don't know where you're going. And you know, honestly, sometimes for the betterment, because you can't sort of play moments before they actually come up because you don't know that they're going to happen.
Well, and what was it like to see how audiences responded to your character? Because it was like, one, we don't want her to break Mandy's heart, but or Saul's heart, but at the same time, we like loved Allison. Like she was a badass. And talk about what the reception was in your view.
Well, it actually started on air here while we were still in Berlin. We actually finished the last episode, I think, 3 weeks before it was due on air. So it was really tight. And I did come home. I came home at one stage, and it was already been on air for some time. And I was in the supermarket, and a woman came up to me and went, "I hate you." Which I was like, yes, I was really happy. It's like, it's always,
job accomplished.
Yeah, it's always better to make an impression than not to. So it was really fun to play somebody who wasn't a victim.
How about the interrogation scene with Saul where he starts choking?
Yeah, that was a good scene too. That's a good scene.
Talk about that, just acting that out, because we've never really seen him sort of get to that level of rage.
I know, she knew how to push his buttons.
She really did.
Yeah. And
how was that sort of acting out?
It was intense. That was a really intense scene. Like Mandy, he just brings it. I wasn't, you know, frightened, but it's very real. It's very, very real. And it was amazing to see him like that, because he's usually, you know, very, you know, wise and considerate, and that's how his character is. So it was fascinating to see him lose it in that way.
Did he, like, how was he between takes, Mandy? Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, yeah.
How you okay? You okay? Yeah, I'm okay. But you know, it was one of those. Well, we shot it a lot too. We shot a lot of different angles and different takes and stuff, because it was a really tricky scene, and there was a lot of things that he had to say to me, and it was quite an intense scene to shoot.
Well, we got another question from Thomas. Thomas, I can't pronounce your last name. I'm sorry. That's hard for me. Do you remember your RingCon experience?
Yes, I do. In Germany. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It was Germany, RingCon's Germany, isn't it? Yeah. I remember I came in and I was quite jet lagged for a lot of my experience, but I still have a lot of photos from there of all these people in the most incredible costumes. People must spend months making these costumes.
Really?
There were people dressed up as Ents, like whole sort of trees, and it was, it was a lot of fun. They wanted me to do some sword fighting, but I wasn't up to speed, and so I negated that one.
Maybe next time?
Maybe next time.
So what was the experience looking back on the Homeland shooting the 5th season? What was that like for you? What did you?
Well, it's interesting. They sent, I think Babelsberg Studio put together a book of photographs from the whole experience, of all of the crew and things behind the scenes, and then blueprints of some of the designs for things. And I didn't know where to come from, and I grabbed this mail thing, and I was in my car, and I got out, and I opened it up, and it just absolutely took my breath away. I started to cry sitting there because it was
You don't realize the magnitude until it's over.
it was such a rich, incredible experience, and just seeing everybody's faces again and thinking, wow, to have been part of that. It was really overwhelming. At the time when you're doing it, you're just trying to make everything work and trying to, you're kind of on the train of it, but to reflect on it is something different again.
Was there a scene you thought you wouldn't be able to get through, or?
Wouldn't be able to get through. No, nothing that I remember thinking that this scene in the bathroom when it was coming up, that people said to me, oh, you've got that scene in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Oh, that scene in the bathroom. It's like, and everyone was talking about it a lot. It's like, oh my God, I better do something with this scene in the bathroom. And I went online and started looking at people having panic attacks and all that. It was fascinating what you can find online.
Seriously,
people taping themselves having panic attacks, like giving you a blow-by-blow of what's actually happening to them in the moment. So that was one that I think it just got talked up a lot beforehand. Oh, that and the scene in the car, the scene when you really, I think it's when you first find out. Is it when you first find out that she's when she meets the handler for the first time in the car? That was a big scene as well. I like that scene a lot.
Do you like the more quieter ones, or like the ones where you get to do some action?
Just doing the action thing, the Conrad thing was just fun because I've just never gotten to do.
You light up when talking about it. The next time you got to do something like that. We got another question from Michael Swank, who says, love seeing strong roles for women on TV. Do you think there is room for improvement of your character to be a catalyst for more roles?
Improvement of my character. I definitely think that people like seeing strong women. Men like seeing strong women, and women like seeing strong women. And I think, particularly in my age category, we're kind of less interested in women who are victims. By this stage, you've really got to get your act together. Yeah. So characters like that are provocative and interesting and dynamic.
And what else do you have coming up? The pipeline?
I just finished a pilot for 24, so I'm still in the world of intelligence. I was lured in. I didn't want to leave. So we just finished shooting that on Monday, and then we'll find out in May whether it's going ahead. So fingers crossed.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you think you could ever just make the transition, make the leap over full-time on CIA?
If they'd asked me, you can't. Well, no, I'm still learning. I keep learning.
It would be fascinating, right?
Oh, it's so fascinating.
That
was one of the biggest thrills for me. I mean, there were so many thrills for me on this job, working in Berlin, working with Alex, working with all those actors, but also just having an insight into that world and how things actually work.
I feel like there's no downtime. Like, does Allison get to watch any TV, or like, what does she get to do?
I don't think so.
Nothing?
I mean, she probably has some kind of strange guilty pleasure.
What do you think her guilty pleasure is?
I don't know. It's probably something really
Bachelor,
strange and mundane.
Real Housewives, something like that. Maybe we'll
Real Housewives of Berlin.
Awesome. Well, Miranda, thanks so much for joining us. It was a pleasure talking to you. Everyone out there, thanks for joining us. Keep tuning in to our Emmy Chats. Thanks.